This is the Unigear Space Dome 2 tent. It's a two-person tent, 2 doors, 2 vestibules, and it was sent to me for free by the Unigear company. But they have not paid me any money for this review, and they have not had any say in the contents of this review. This is my own honest opinion about this tent. I really love some aspects of this tent, but as you'll see by the end of the video, there are also some things that I really don't like about this tent. It is an incredibly spacious tent, which is quite impressive considering how small the form factor is when it's packed up. It's not particularly lightweight. It weighs 3.2 kilograms. That's somewhere over 6 pounds, 6 point something pounds. But when it's packed up, it does take up a very small amount of space. The tent itself, when it's set up, is absolutely enormous. It's got these 2 spreader poles that hold the tent inner walls very vertically. So you have a lot of shoulder room, a lot of headroom, and the floor space itself is also very large. I managed to fit a car camping foam mattress in there with no problem at all, and I could have easily fitted 2 of those in there. So it's really got a lot of space, not claustrophobic at all. The fly sheet is supposedly a 2000 millimeter waterhead, and the tent floor is 3000 millimeter waterhead. They are both made out of polyester, and the tent inner is a mixture of mesh and solid panels. The tent inner actually does have quite a lot of mesh, which helps there not be any condensation, but the ventilation is not particularly good because on the door side of the inner tents, the mesh windows are actually pretty small, so in hot weather this tent can get pretty hot. On the fly sheet, it does have 2 vents situated right at the top of the tent to try and help with airflow, which is great. You also get 11 aluminum stakes with this tent, and I actually quite like the stakes that you get. They're like a shepherd hook type design, and they are very good for going into hard ground. They don't tend to bend very easily, which is very nice. For soft ground, they probably wouldn't hold that well, but I didn't get to test them in soft ground, unfortunately. The one thing that I will say though is that if you want to stake out all of the tent guy out points, including the guy lines, you do not get given enough tent pegs. The minimum number of tent pegs that you need to set up the tent is 9, and then there are 4 additional guy lines that you should guy out in windy conditions, but you only have 11 pegs. So if you want to guy out all the guy lines, you're going to have to add 2 pegs of your own, which I think is not really on. The tent manufacturer should give you enough pegs to guy out the entire tent. Then the fly sheet is seam taped along the seams, but there are a few areas where it is not seam taped, and unfortunately when I tested this tent in the rain, it definitely did leak in those areas. Those areas are specifically where the shorter spreader poles touch the fly sheet. There's no waterproofing on that sewing area at all for some reason, and it definitely does drip through there. Because the tent walls are so vertical, that drip doesn't actually drip into the inside of the tent, it drips into the vestibule. So that is not perhaps a total deal breaker in terms of leaking, but unfortunately I did also experience leaks right from the top of the tent, as well as on the sides of the tent near the edges of the vestibules on the fly sheet. So this tent 100% does leak, which is completely unacceptable in my opinion. I would not go and buy this tent purely because it leaks so badly. If you do buy it, you are going to have to do some DIY with your own seam sealer to try and make it waterproof. At the moment, this tent is retailing for around $90 US online, which is pretty reasonably priced. The setup of this tent I actually found very intuitive. There's instructions for the setup printed on the inside of the stuff sack, and if you follow those instructions, you shouldn't have a problem at all. The one thing that I don't particularly like is the way that the fly sheet attaches to the tent poles. It has little ties that you physically have to tie together like little pieces of ribbon, and I'm not a huge fan of that method just because it is kind of finicky and you have to tie a good knot and all that kind of thing. The stuff sack itself I am a massive fan of. When you're unpacking and repacking the tent, it has a huge opening in the top with a drawstring. There's never any issues with trying to fit the tent into the stuff sack or get the tent out again because of that massive big opening. In terms of the interior of the tent, you have 3 pockets, 2 smaller ones that are next to the doors, and then 1 larger one along the short side of the tent. The setup of the tent is also quite resistant to wind. I've had very good success using this in windy conditions, and the way that the poles intersect make the tent pretty robust. I really do wish that this tent hadn't leaked, because there are so many things that I really love about it. In fact, there are so many things that I love about this tent design that I might even try to waterproof the fly sheet myself, just so that I can try and use it as a functional tent, because at the moment it is not functional. It lets water in like a sieve. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more from me, then you can click on my channel name to see videos that I've made in the past, or you can subscribe to my channel to see videos that I'm going to make in the future.